Well, I'm Dr. Ron England, and we're going to do a little bit more work with some of the AJAX controls and just some different things that are useful in programming here. I'm going to show you, I have taken a form, I've made it a tabbed form, and I have this one tab called Injury Information, which I have a user control on top of. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, over here I've got the first menu here. If in this menu is a checkbox menu because you can select multiple of those. So if I say select auto, I want to have this driver, passenger, pedestrian, and you can have multiples there. Seatbelt, and let's say airbag. Just kind of questions that go. This is specifically to deal with the trauma, people that come in through trauma information. So I'd be saying that person was an auto, is the driver, was wearing a seatbelt, and had an airbag. Or if I turn that off, and they were a motorcycle, it would ask questions like, did they have a helmet, what type of helmet, and then how fast was the car going. And notice a few things here. When I don't have any text in here, I actually still have, if you notice, I still got this thing that says speed here. Well, but it's not text that's in there, it's a watermark that's behind the scenes. So I can easily enter information there. And then for different things, like if you had a motorcycle accident in a fall, I could click here and say he had a motorcycle accident with no helmet, and the fall information was went off building. So basically drove a motorcycle off a building, so experienced a fall in that. And then also, let's say the person also suffered, while they were falling, they suffered a gunshot wound from a .44 caliber weapon. So, you know, all those things going on at once. I've also got one little thing here going on where if I click help, I've got this little modal dialog here, and if I click the help, it pops up a modal there, so I can actually have some inline help that goes with this. So let's look a little bit about how all these different little pieces work. Okay, let's come back over to here, and I'm going to go to my code now. Well, first thing is I did all the coding here oops, stop debugging. I did all the coding over here in a user control. So essentially, first thing I have is this user control. Is I have a checkbox list with all the different main menu items, and then I have a table with a row for all the different options. So this checkbox list comes up if I click auto. This checkbox, this is a radio button list. It comes up with the helmet, and then I got checkboxes. And one of the things I have here, which is a AJAX control, is a text box watermark extender. Well, that was what provided me, when I was doing this, that's what provided me to have this, oops, oh, done. By the way, when I have the modal dialog up, I can't click anywhere and do anything. I can only click done. So let's say there was nothing in here. Okay, it was blank. That's what put that speed in there, and then when I could put here, I could put the speed in. Okay, well, the text box watermark extender has a few things that go with it. TBWE is what I usually call them. And in this case, the watermark text was speed, which you saw that the word speed came there. And I could actually make that, I would normally make that show up in like a gray or a blue or some color that wasn't, then make it look like there was already text there. And then I have a target control ID, which is a text box. So here I have a text box speed, and then I have a target control for the watermark extender. And what this really does is it allows me to save some screen real estate from having to put a label and a text box together. So those are quite useful. These watermark extenders can be useful, and they're just standard AJAX controls. Okay. Now, the other thing that I've got right here, I have a modal pop-up extender. And the way I've got this one designed is when I click the help button, it puts a little modal that's right here. And actually, I didn't put a border around it because I didn't want to, but you could throw a border around it. You can have the background colored differently, but in this case, I simply pop it up to the right in the free space that's next to this. So you've really got this, and what I would do normally there is I'd put help. For these items over here, I'd put a little help information in that text box, in that modal pop-up. Well, it's a modal pop-up extender. The target control ID is the button that you want to cause it to come up. You don't actually write code behind here. You don't capture an event here. When you click the event here, when you click this, the modal pop-up extender knows what to do because the target control ID is that individual button. The cancel control ID and the OK control ID are both of these. and it allows you to have different controls that drop the thing down. Now, what you may want to do in this case, suppose you had a form in here. Well, if you had a form in here, you might want to capture the information that's in the form, or you might want to just simply cancel. So you have two different options that you can use here for cancel and OK. Now, in this case, what I do when I pop up, what I pop up in this case is a panel, and that is an ASP panel. Okay, panel is basically what it sounds like it is. It's a panel, stuff that you can put stuff on. I actually specified specific X and Y locations. If you don't specify X and Y locations, it goes up wherever the middle of the screen is, and that's not really what I want to do here. I want actually to pop it up over in the area that I want it to pop up in. So then I create this panel, and inside the panel, all I did was throw in some text, but that's okay. You could put in anything you want to inside this panel, and it will act like a panel. So I could have the ability to pull in, I could collect information, and I could actually put a button here, and I could capture the event of the button being clicked and actually take specific actions. So in the cancel case, you want it to pretty much drop directly out and go back. But you may have an OK button, which may have the submit value for the value, and you may want to submit information on those. So now, last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take you to the code, what's going on behind the scenes in the code. You saw this. Modal pop-up extender is an AJAX control. The watermark, text box watermark extenders are an AJAX control. For that matter, the actual the tabs here are also an AJAX control. Behind the scenes, what I have going on is when a user selects something in that main checkbox list, I have put a comment that says, okay, 0's auto, 1's motorcycle, so I know what value goes with the items in the checkbox list. And simply, it's very simple code. All I do is check to see the item is selected, so 0 would be the auto. And normally what I would do here is I would put auto. I'd put a little comment there to say item 0 is auto. And then if it is, I set some of the different items that I have on the screen, their visible properties to true. Otherwise, I set their visible properties to false. In the case of a motorcycle, the radio button list, helmet, and the TB speed should be true, and otherwise they're false. Okay. Now, in this case, you might have a little bit of a logic flaw. Okay. So what you have to look for here, like for example, the logic flaw here. If I turn all these off and I click auto, well, I don't get speed because this has to be, the motorcycle has to be selected for speed. So I would have to put a little bit more logic in here to handle that specific situation. Now I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, in the case where the motorcycle is the second one there, and if it's in this case you have this TV speed visible as false, but I want it to be true unless if the other one. So I would actually put if. Now remember the checkbox list. The checkbox list 0, the item 0 was the auto. So now if 0 is selected, and actually in this case I can even make it very simple. I don't even need an if. Okay, I'll just set it equal to the value of that selected. So because the only two things that trigger a speed are the auto and the motorcycle, if it's not the motorcycle, you have to check to see if the auto is selected. If the auto is selected, you can make it true. Otherwise, if that one's false, it'll be false. So if I save that, and we'll actually show how that would work. I'm going to go ahead and debug, start. Whoops, did that underneath directory listing. I want to actually go to the tabbed entry, debug, stop. Debug start, because I want it to start underneath a certain page. Okay, if I click auto, okay, I got the speed now. Of course, if I click motorcycle, I still get the speed. I can turn motorcycle off, the speed is still there. So you can see, just looking at the business logic, it's pretty straightforward how to put that business logic together. So turning this off again. Okay, going back to the code here for the page, right? UC, where's my, oops, I lost my UC mechanism and injury. It was a user control. So you can see I just had a series of if-then statements that checked for what was turned on and what was turned off. Okay, that's as far as I'm going with this one. Showed you a little bit of AJAX and a little bit of logic in putting together some pretty interesting forms. Thanks.